Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Your kid gets those diagnoses. What is the word?
What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood. Oh my God, like there's a girl and she's going to see me naked. With Margaret Aples.
And Amy Wilson.
I don't really care. I don't really care.
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas.
So you don't have to. That's bonkers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy. And this week, we're going to talk about whether we are all totally oversharing on social media.
Spoiler.
Yes.
We are.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Goodbye, guys. Great talking to you. Another great episode in the books. We definitely are. We're oversharers.
I would say that traditionally we have focused more on this as an issue with our kids. Like we have to tell our kids they can't do this, they can't do that, they can't geotag themselves every time they do something. But along the way, we are also making some perhaps questionable calls on this, or not even calls, but just doing stuff without thinking about the ramifications. And so I think this is worth talking about.
Definitely worth talking about. I come out fairly strongly on one side of this, which I will share as we go along, but I don't think it's really going to surprise anyone.
I think it's going to be pro oversharing.
I just think the paranoia around this is unjustified, fundamentally.
Oh, okay. No, I shouldn't have been surprised by that.
Let's roll in. But I think we can all relax a little bit with like 800 people are trying to follow our kids' geotags and follow them and grab them off the streets. I'm not sure that's happening.
This topic was suggested by our listener, Raj, and he said you should do an episode on how parents use social media in terms of privacy, over-digitalization of childhood, and our culture of oversharing. Raj, extra points for the 10-cent words.
Yeah, Raj definitely got a high score on his verbal SAT. Check out some of those words.
I Googled over digitalization of childhood. I think Raj invented that phrase because I couldn't find any other use of it. What we're specifically talking about is one of those things, like what is oversharing? It's kind of, you know it when you see it, right?
Well, yeah. You know it when you see it.
You know it when you see it. And I think we tend to think it's something that other people do.
Of course, like all things.
Right? It's a problem that other people have, not ourselves.
And we both, in researching this episode, found, which I'd never heard before, I don't know if you had, the phrase sharenting.
No, I had never heard this before. Yeah, sharenting, as in like share parenting. That word.
Overshare.
Oversharenting. And I did some research, which indicated research by Dr. Lisa Lazard and some other people, and they studied and found that mothers overshare more than fathers.
I want to just say, great job, Lisa Lazard, but I could have told you that without doing
Right.
research.
We all know it's true. And is that sexist to say? Well, apparently not, because it is true. And she goes through why. And I thought this was pretty interesting. She found in her study that mothers do take on the responsibility of sharing content about their children more than fathers do. And it is a responsibility. She calls it disclosure management work. And that this is something, it's part of the invisible workload that we take on. Fathers in general are more restrictive about sharing to broad professional audiences. My husband, I don't know about your husband, like not such big Facebook people anyway, don't seek connection in that way, in the same way. But just as we're supposed to bear the burdens of the actual, like back in the day, our mothers were the ones who were taking the photos, putting them in albums.
We're talking about it in this digital current context, but this is and has ever been that, like, right, my mom had the like leather bound spiral notebooks with like, there was a piece of plastic that you peeled back and then it was sticky inside and you would layer the photos. I mean, we had this.
Alert. Back in my day. That dismays me that that's an old deluxe alert, but I think it probably is.
You know how like when you go to look at the Gutenberg Bible, you have to like put gloves on and like 8 people stare at you while you turn the pages. That's how my mother was. If you had to take a picture out, like, oh, I need to bring a picture to school of me in a costume. And she would like stand over you as you peeled back the saran wrap page and like removed the picture. And then it was like FBI, what do they call that, chain of custody? Like there was a blank part of the scrapbook until you brought that back and put it back in.
They were also called magnetic pages, which always drove me nuts. What's magnetic about this? It was just kind of gluey.
Sticky. Yeah.
Okay.
And the best, one more oldie locks, because now we're down the rabbit hole.
Back in my day.
But I do sort of miss this. Like we were driving somewhere and there was a parking lot and it had one of those old kiosks in the middle of it that you would drive up to and get your photos from the guy in the little kiosk in the supermarket parking lot. You know what I'm talking about? And my kids were like, what is that? And I was like, well, you used to get photos from there. You know, of course it was abandoned. But I was thinking, like, as we constantly complain about the dongle that you have to take to CVS if you ever want, like, I feel like we used to have access to our photos and now I just have hard drives filled with nonsense.
Right. And I think here's one issue. I think that I use sharing on social media. I think many of us do. Like Instagram is my photo album. If I really like something, I put it on Instagram. My favorite photos. If it's a really good photo, I put it on Facebook, a graduation photo or something. And we are using them as a way to keep our favorite pictures out of our 25,000 that we have. But doing that, we're not thinking about, they're the photos we like the most. They're the photos we're seeking the most accolades for. We're not considering the other ramifications of doing that. So our moms were doing this when it was actual photo albums. And now we're still in charge of the family photos and managing them. And Dr. Lazard makes another point that this is a form of the emotional work that women do for our families. Like we're the ones who remember to call Uncle Bob, it's his birthday. Call grandma and show her on FaceTime picture that you made, that the social media sharing that we do is part of our work of staying connected to friends and more importantly, family. Like the other night, my daughter had a birthday party and I was taking pictures to show her grandmothers. And I was thinking about that as I was taking them. I was like, I'm sending this one to this person and this one to that person. And I didn't post them on social media, but the whole reason I was taking pictures was to make sure that I included the grandmothers in the moment because they weren't there.
Right.
And so it is. It's a form of work.
It's a form of work, and it's also a strong form of personal validation. You put a lot of work into that. So like, yes, you want to include grandma, but you also want your work to be seen. I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
You want people to say, like, look at what Amy did. Like she threw this photo. I mean, not you, Amy. I'm not Jacques. Like we want to say, like, here are the Halloween costumes I put together. Look at what I did. Like I'm kind of isolated here. I want everyone to share in like what I did.
That's right. Friend of mine who moved away, who I pretty much only keep in touch with on social media now, and I'm glad for it. Her son was in a high school play over the weekend, was in the Addams Family, and like high school plays today look like Broadway, basically. Like
oh my God.
They bear no relation.
We could do a whole episode on high school plays and my thoughts about
them. So
them.
her son is Uncle Fester in the Addams Family with like Broadway level production values, and I'm so glad to see them. I'm not saying she's oversharing she's not. I'm not saying that, but she's sharing them because she's proud of him. I feel connected to her by knowing that he's doing that. And she feels connected to me when she shares them and I respond. But we are all kind of in this feedback loop all the time. Like there's an imagined audience, right? When we're posting something, when I take a picture of my son scoring a soccer goal and it's a great picture and Yankee Stadium's in the background and I post that on social media, I'm thinking 2 steps out. I'm thinking, I'm going to get so many likes from this. I'm going to get so many, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I'm thinking about those when I post, already thinking about what I'm going to get back from this imagined audience.
I'm going to speak in defense of social media though.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of far-flung friends. I moved to LA after graduating. A lot of my friends are there with their kids. I have a godson out in LA and I love keeping up with them on social media. I see them once every 2 years and I feel like I know them. There are kids in my life who I'm not sure if I've ever met in person, but I feel like I know them. I'm like, oh, that's right. You were a bunny for Halloween. So cute. Then you did your school play. Like I like social media. I like keeping up with my friends' kids on social media. I'm all for it.
I totally agree. I enjoy it, looking at it. And we do sometimes, we get things out of it, right? We get ties to community. We get social capital, researchers call it, that we connect. And there's a good thing about it.
Absolutely. There's lots of positives. We're going to talk about the negatives, but I don't want to skip the part where we're like, it's actually great. Like being a mom is isolating. You do a ton of work that nobody sees. And it's a way of interacting with the world that overcomes what I think was a very hard obstacle for my mom, which was you're kind of just isolated, you know? And yes, there were opportunities to like, okay, we're going down and showing, you know, you're trick-or-treating and people are seeing the costumes I made. But my mom put hours of work into her Halloween costumes. Like I would have loved for her to be able to say like, hey world, like look at this amazing handmade Statue of Liberty costume I made for my kid, which is just bonkersly great. I think there's something very positive about that.
I totally agree. And I think, and that's why I like that there's, yes, mothers do it more, but there are reasons for it besides, oh, you silly women with nothing better to do. No, we're doing the heavy lifting of staying connected, of keeping our families connected to our larger worlds. And that means using social media for a lot of us.
I also think social media connects us to resources that we did not used to have. For example, parenting forums about certain things, the ability to go out, you know, we have our Facebook page, facebook.com/whatfreshhellcast. Like people come there and they talk and they offer each other solutions on things that they would not have thought about themselves. How am I dealing with this picky eater? And they give each other the perspective of like, listen, it's going to be okay. Like there is a village that forms on social media that can be really positive. People with specific problems, kids with ADHD, kids on the spectrum, kids with very specific issues or challenges. There's resources where you can be talking to someone in Ohio who has a kid with an IEP that's run into a problem that's similar to your kids, and you guys can help each other navigate that. It's very positive.
There was just an article in the New York Times over the weekend. I didn't even pull it when I was getting ready for this episode, but I'll put it up on our show page on whatfreshhellpodcast.com because it was talking about the usefulness of groups, of social media groups for like my kid has a translocation of the 11th and 18th chromosomes and there are 60 people in the world who have that. And we have found each other in social media, that's a wonderful thing. But of course, there's also a dark side. And the dark side is you think it's private, but it's not. And there was a group. Let's hope we're not in this position. We were a group of women who through DNA testing found out that their kid was not fathered by the person that they were married to. And they know this, but the other parent doesn't. And there's a Facebook group for this and people's identities were just compromised. So that's something you need to share, but maybe doing it on Facebook is oversharing. I mean, it's a fine line to walk.
Right. And you can figure out how to do like closed groups or like, what do I want to discuss in a private group?
This was the whole point of it was closed isn't closed and private isn't private.
Closed isn't closed. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
And when you're sharing about your kid with ADHD, well, you know, this is getting into the downside of it, but you're sharing about your kid with ADHD and sharing resources. That's very useful for you as a parent. And it's very useful for your kid on a Tuesday in 2018. But there's a trail that's going to be left when that kid is applying for jobs in 2030. We don't know. We don't know what this is all going to mean.
We don't. But I have some thoughts on that. And I'm going to share them after this break.
For some of us, tax season is one of the only times that we look at our finances fully. And once it's over, well, that was terrible. And it is completely understandable not to want to think about it for another whole year. But using Monarch and being intentional with your finances in an ongoing way helps you see where your money is going and how you can put your refund to best use.
We are here to tell you, simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop.
Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code FRESH.
As you know, my husband and I are preparing to send, 3 kids off to college, and I cannot tell you how helpful Monarch has been in showing us our full financial picture, helping us to track our spending and reach important savings milestones. Our weekly meeting, Amy, it's now run by Monarch.
Love it. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple.
Use code FRESH at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com, code FRESH.
Big Deal brands are up to 25% off right now at Designer Shoe Warehouse. You're not going to want to miss this. These brands almost never go on sale. At DSW, we'll give you something to brag about. Like up to 25% off select styles from Adidas, Crocs, Nike, Reebok, and more brands you love. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Save today at your DSW store or DSW.com. DSW, let us surprise you.
Margaret, can I throw a study at you?
I mean, you can. I'm screed ready, but I'm going to hold on to my screed.
There was a study in the University of Michigan. Lots of interesting stuff in this study, and I'll put the link up on the show page. Dr. Tawfiq Amari and some other people studied what they called how parents decide what to disclose about their children online. And they pointed out, which I thought was very crucial, that the benefits that we as parents accrue from social media, which we were talking about, and they're clear, they correspond with self-disclosure in the form of, revealing information about ourselves. And when we share photos of our kids and information about our kids, that self-disclosure is inextricably tied to sharing about the child as well, which means that our children, unlike us, are growing up with their entire digital lives online.
Okay.
That the photos convey significant amounts of information, location, who you're with, the t-shirt you're wearing in the photo, and now there's facial recognition, and that parents, because social media is so sticky and so good at getting us to want to consume more and share more and be part of things, we don't know what the ramifications are of this yet. And we, as parents, start to consider that, then we get concerned about it, but aren't sure what to do always.
Okay, but it's screed time, Amy.
Go ahead.
What are the ramifications?
Well, I have one of my kids. Well, now that I think about it, each of my kids has a classmate who, under their real names, is sharing information online on a regular basis that I see that will definitely problematize their college admissions.
Okay, so that's from kids' side, right? Yes, there are tons of social media rules that we want to talk about for our kids and what they should and shouldn't be sharing.
Right. Well, you're right. That's
a little other side of the equation. So let's talk about only what are ramifications for moms oversharing.
Okay, so let's say you express a concern that your kid might have ADHD, to go back to that example from before. Sharing about your kid's learning disabilities online gets you community, gets you tips, makes you better at parenting it. I don't disagree with that, but it's out there. If you use your kid's real name and your kid has the same last name as you do, it's out there. This becomes part of their permanent digital profile in ways that I think we don't fully understand yet.
So I would say I'll give that one a maybe. So perhaps if you are sharing about medical diagnoses with your children, yes, I have kids who have diagnoses, and I do not share about that on social media. In that I share about it on the podcast, I am non-child specific with it. And I do think that attaching medical labels to your children in public is a problem, but I think it is not as big of a problem as the idea of it is. Your kid gets those diagnoses. What is the word? Should I just
diagnoses.
Keep saying diagnoses at school? It's part of their school record. It's something that their friends know. It's something that is known about them, and it is part of having a diagnosis. And so, yes, in general, I would not splay all around social media that my kid has a diagnosis. But if you need to reach out for help to other people, I don't see, it's like, oh man, I got into Harvard, but then they found out that 8 years ago, my mom posted that I had ADHD and now I'm out.
Oh, but I disagree. I think you might not get into Harvard if Harvard sees that you were a problem child.
That's bonkers.
I think college admissions, I know college admissions carefully comb social media. I met a guy at the Mom 2.0 conference a couple years ago who was starting a business to help scrub your kids' social media and hopefully yours in time for college applications. And as he pointed out, as any social media expert will tell you, it is a lot easier to not post it in the first place than to try to delete all trace of it later.
I don't know if I'm feeling it. I mean, it depends on an individual situation, but my kids who struggle with stuff, I would encourage them I mean, that is part of who they are. That is part of their personal story. And that is part of information that is going to be part of any application they make to college, you know?
Well, then there's some more gray area. There's huge stigma around, like, say, we're talking about big things, but let's say like epilepsy. There's a stigma around epilepsy that will follow your kid, even if it really shouldn't. And then we can just let's take it out of the medical realm and just into something much more basic. Does your 16-year-old really need the, funny poop story, out in the world? I don't know if it's bad or if it's not, but we are asking them. I'm going to quote Lisa Heffernan here from Grown and Flown, and they've got good perspective because their kids are grown and flown. The way she puts it is, we decided that we can live with any future consequences of the oversharing. We're right now saying yeah, this is fine. I can deal with this. But we're not asking our children, or we are asking our children to live with the consequences of our oversharing without knowing what they are. And I'm not saying we should all stop sharing anything, but I do think
that point is kind of fair. And I have a personal anecdote. I make a calendar every year for the family for Christmas with all the pictures of the kids. And my kids were I don't know, maybe 4 and 3. And for some reason that I don't remember right now, they were walking around the house naked. And they were sitting in the window and they were just laughing in this really funny way that they were both naked. They were posed in a way that you could not see any of their private areas. And yet it was clear they were sitting around the house naked. And so I included this picture in the calendar, and it was funny. It was definitely not inappropriate. It was cute. They were young enough, and everything objectionable was covered. And I put it in the calendar, and the calendar was on the wall. And maybe my guy was in first grade when I took the picture, and he was sitting with his legs crossed. You could not see any private areas, but it was clear he was naked in the picture. And then we had some friends over, and now he was in second grade because it was the calendar from a year back. It was hanging on the wall, and there was a girl from his second grade class over. And he walked in the kitchen and he's like, "Mom, you've got to cover that up. Oh my God, there's a girl and she's going to see me naked." And so we made little paper clothes for them and put them on the picture. But I realized my perspective on him being naked on the calendar and my family's perspective was isn't it funny that kids walk around naked? It's so random. His perspective was, a girl in my class is about to see me naked, and that would be the worst thing to ever happen to me. So yes, you have to. And I would never in a million years have put that photo on social media. It was just in the calendar for my family. But yes, it is important that you think your kids are going to see your posts. Also in this category is the "my kid is so annoying" posts. And we talk about this on the podcast.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I feel we're trying to be fairly careful about what we share. But my rule when talking about my kids on the podcast is, would I be comfortable with them listening to this description of themselves? And if it's,
and they do, My kids hear a lot of
and
this.
And so there are stories about my kids that I don't tell on the podcast. There are takes on my kids. Sometimes my kids drive me crazy. And sometimes I want to express that in a way of my kid is so annoying. I would never say that. It's this is a hard situation for me is one thing, but I do not put anything on my kids on social media or on the podcast, because you have to. My rule in life is, no one else sees your take on them as positive. You have to remember that my kid is such a jerk sometimes is something that every parent says. But if you say it directly about one of your kids by name, they are not going to find that funny. They are going to find that hurtful and scary. And so, yes, I think the way you talk about your kids online is very important. I think the things you share about your kids online. I had an old funny picture of 2 kids in the bathtub that I was sending just by email to my sister-in-law, I think. And that picture got flagged. It didn't get delivered because it got flagged because it had naked children in it. And again, there was bubbles. It was not really. But even then I was I guess I shouldn't be sending that picture by email,
I saw an anecdote in one of these studies about talking about the parameters people have around what they share. A woman sent a, cute naked photo of their kid just to her husband at work. She just texted it to him. And he came back at her at exclamation points do not ever send a naked picture of a child, even a child that is mine, to my work phone. You can't do that. And I thought, and I've done it. I've definitely sent cute naked pictures of our babies to my husband to his work phone. And yeah, I guess that's a pretty bad idea. And I'm going to reconsider that rule.
I think it would be a fair overall rule to be like naked pictures of your children are just for you.
Send them to PEX and put them,
print them out
in your wallet.
Print them out, but don't. Yeah, those probably do not belong in cyberspace at all because you lose control over them.
What is your policy around tagging people and being tagged? I tend to stay away from it religiously, and I wonder if you use it, don't use it.
Tweet, I don't care at all.
Oh gosh, see, I totally
tagging, what does it even mean?
Our school, like for example, our school has a social media profiles, as they all do these days, and they were like, put your back to school photos up on social media, which everybody has to have that back to school photo where you're holding the chalkboard Pinteresty thing, right? That's like the new thing you have to do. And they were like, tag our school in the photo. Do hashtag the school or tag the school. And I'm like, there's no way I would do that, because now I'm saying, here's where my kids go to school. And that's not information I want available to everybody on the internet.
I don't care that much about it. I don't believe that it happens often that random people on social media are like, I'm going to go find that kid at their school. I do not believe that is something that happens. And so,
but what if it's not somebody random? I mean, it doesn't have to be somebody. I'm not saying it's somebody random. I don't need strangers and people that not everybody needs to know where my kids go to school.
I think it's totally fine not to do it, but I don't think that's a thing.
And do you tag other moms or other kids in photos when they're in photos?
I don't put pictures of other people's kids on social media without the parents' permission.
I am trying to think. I've never thought of that as a hard and fast rule, but I don't think that I do.
I just think it's a good practice.
I'd have to look back and see.
I just don't.
It is a good practice.
Film or take pictures of other people's kids. If I get a cute picture, last year was 4th grade graduation. I had a ton of pictures of like my kid with his arm around his friend. I would say to the mom like, oh, can I put this picture up? Or,
right.
Yes, fine. Oh, I'll tag you. Great. Fine. As long as we both understand that. But those pictures have digital information on them. If somebody looked at that picture and was like, I'm going to track that kid down, they could figure out where that school is. But they're not doing it.
Don't post a picture of your kid with the name of the school on their sweatshirt. I just think that's foolish. I do.
But what's going to happen? Someone's going to look at it and
nothing
track
bad will
them
happen
down and kidnap them?
It would give them information. Yeah, it would. And
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Well, I mean, it has happened. It doesn't mean it happens every day, but it's easier. I guess my point is it's easier not to put that information out there in the first place. There's nothing useful about sharing that information, so don't share it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it makes you worry, don't do it. But I think the over paranoia around this is a bit of a problem.
It's not paranoia. It's just be aware when you're sharing that information with a couple people, you're sharing it with everybody. And just consider that there are possible ramifications to that. Just stop and think about doing it. It's not the same as putting it on a calendar in your kitchen. It's there and it's there forever. And I'm not saying this as somebody who fully thinks through the ramifications of everything I post online. I definitely have not been that person. But that is one thing that I'm pretty tight about.
Yeah. Although, just on the quick flip side, if your kid is walking around with their shirt that says where they go to school on it, that's a similar experience. You know what I mean? They're seeing people who know where they go to school now, who are strangers to them.
Good point. Good point.
It just feels like the paranoia around it I want to fight back against. But fine, don't do it if it makes you uncomfortable. But I just don't think there is a giant cabal of people searching the metadata of pictures to try to do harm to your children. Don't believe it.
No, I don't think there is either, but I still don't tag the school.
All right, we're talking more about social media and your kids when we come back.
All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy,
heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. And now, the types of moms you will definitely meet on social media. The I think your kid might have gotten a hold of your phone poster.
Semicolon, adjective, J, exclamation point,
The one-upper mom.
My kid got a 98 on the spelling test.
Mine got 100. Isn't it great when our kids do well? The multi-level marketing mom.
Look at my skin. This skin could be your skin. You, too, could sell the stuff that makes your skin look like my skin. Ask me how.
The airing her dirty laundry for everyone to see mom.
My mother-in-law, Claire Miller, is the spawn of all unholy evil, and I don't care who knows it.
The inspirational meme mom.
You only have 18 summers till they're grown, so cherish each instant before they've flown. Hashtag so true.
The CrossFit mom.
80 reps of 15 pounds each, read into 75 squats at 0400 this AM. Get after it. Hashtag feel the burn.
The vague book mom.
One of those days where you just doubt all your life choices. You know what I mean?
The humble bragger.
It's so hard to raise a gifted child. I can hardly keep up with the conversations at my dinner table with this little intellectual.
The hashtagger.
Soccer Saturday. Hashtag goal. Hashtag adorbs. Hashtag go Panthers. Hashtag no I in team. Hashtag soccer. Hashtag love it. Hashtag all for one and one for all. Hashtag kick it. Hashtag offsides. Hashtag teamwork makes the dream work.
This has been the types of moms you will meet on social media from the What Fresh Hell podcast.
Okay, I want to know, do you have rules, Margaret, for extended family, like grandparents and your sister and people like that posting info on your kids?
No.
There are people, and I don't, after doing all this research, I don't judge it, who like before the baby's born, like, here's what we're going to do. You're not going to post pictures of the baby. We'll share them on this private Shutterfly account or whatever. Or if you want to share a picture of my kid, you have to ask me, or don't tag the kid, or definitely do tag the kid so I can see what you're posting. People have rules around this.
I do know that people have rules about this. I do not have rules about this, but I respect other people's rules about this.
Maybe some people need to have rules about it and some people don't, I suppose.
Yeah. And again, I like with my sister-in-law, we have adorable kids who are all the same age. We're always together in Texas. I get these beautiful pictures where like the light is shining on the 7 of them while they're playing in Texas together. And I'm like, these pictures are adorable. And I always say, I show it to her and I'm like, look at how cute this picture is. And I say, is it okay if I post this on Facebook? And she says, yes. And I tag her. I know people who have issues with exes, custody situations, people who have given them a hard time on Facebook, stalkery kind of situations. So I never post a picture of anyone else's kid without asking them because I don't have any of those issues. And I kind of feel like I don't post a ton about my kids. I don't post private things about my kids. I don't post embarrassing things about my kids, and I don't post mean things about my kids. But other than that, I post pictures of my kids. I don't care if you can see where they go to school. It's not that hard to figure out where my kids go to school. I don't care about a lot of those things. But I never post pictures of other people's kids without their permission. I do not necessarily agree with being paranoid about your kids on social media, but also people have exes, people who have friends of theirs who've lost children. There are reasons why other people may not want their smiley kids tagged all over their Facebook pages, and I respect that.
I kind of, as I think about it, realize that I have sort of different rules around cousins than I do around sort of classmates. And maybe I shouldn't. I mean, if I have a cute picture of my kids with some of their many cousins, they have a lot of cousins, I would probably just put it up without asking. And I think my in-laws and my siblings do also. So I guess that's fine if everybody's fine with it. But other people's kids, definitely. And the tag thing, oh my gosh, like I am not a fan of tagging. And we have a grandparent in our lives who loves to tag. And so I sometimes will untag even myself. It's like, I don't want everybody to see that picture of me in a regrettable bathing suit. I don't untag. I do think in general,
I've always said there's no fear like the fear where you're like at a bachelorette weekend with some extra baby weight and you see yourself tagged. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so bad. And it always is me like doubled over with like a giant stomach roll, like drinking a beer. I'm like, I'm going to untag that, but I don't really care. I mean, I don't really care, but I respect other people's right to care. And so I have people in my family who don't want their kids on social media at all. And I don't put anything. I mean, I basically have established with my family members, I would say my sister doesn't really care. Some of my sisters-in-law do care. And so I don't put pictures of their kids on social media. I think it's good to just establish the ground rules, and whatever my thoughts about whether or not you want your kids tagged, if you tell me not to tag them, I don't. It's your choice.
I find that there are certain people who are less wary of Facebook and social media and facial recognition software and things than I am. And there are people who don't really understand how Facebook works. And so I had, not really, right? And so I had an experience where I'll say a niece or nephew of mine was tagged wearing a bathing suit, and then a conversation between two relatives of this kid, one a close relative and one a distant relative, played out on Facebook on the person's wall saying, oh, who's this now? And then the next one was like, oh, this is child's name. And oh, is she the one that lives in blank? Yes, she does. Oh, my kid lives in blank. Okay, this kid lives right across from you make a left and it's right past that thing. And they have now taken a child in a bathing suit and put up their name and where their house is. On a Facebook wall, which those two people thought was a private conversation. It is not a private conversation. I was seeing it in my newsfeed. And so that was sort of like...
And that's the stuff. You should monitor that. You should be really clear with everybody in your life about what you do and don't want posted. And then you should just respect other people's rules.
There's a privacy scholar named Sandra Petronio. Did you know there was such a thing?
Never heard of a privacy scholar.
She's a privacy scholar. And she talks about when people take the responsibility of guarding other people's private information, they're not really as good about it as they are about guarding their own private information. Imagine that. And so she says there's boundary turbulence that happens when your idea of what should be private and my idea of what should be private are not the same. And I'm sharing your private information. So that's a problem, and differing boundaries exist.
And that it's a good idea to define your boundaries. And that's the conversation that you have. The conversation is, hey, I saw you tagged my kid in a Facebook photo. I love the photo, but we don't put our kids up on social media. Could you delete the photo or untag it, whichever you feel more comfortable with? And you have an absolute right to do that. And it is your prerogative. And when the person says, why it's so cute, you say, because that's my request. Like, that is your prerogative. And there are issues. Again, there are issues with people who have exes that are a real problem who are stalking them on social media. There are custody issues around kids and who knows what about kids. Like, I do not believe that there is a cabal of people in a van running facial recognition and mapping photos to find children to kidnap. That is not happening. But there are exes and people who you don't want to know where your kids are or what they're doing all the time. And it is the parents' absolute prerogative what information they want shared for reasons you may not understand. And if someone tells you to untag their kid or not post pictures of them on social media, you do not do it.
I guess I would argue that there could be a lot of reasons for doing this. And the person's reason, now that I've started thinking about this, I haven't really put rules over my oversharing. Like we said, it's something that you kind of feel out and you know it when you see it, and you mostly see it in other people. And I haven't really considered this, but I will probably put more rules, more firm rules around this. And they're your rules and they're your reasons and what your gut tells you and what you're worried about we don't understand yet. And those can be enough reasons. It doesn't have to be horribly sensitive and dangerous privacy concerns. It's okay to have privacy concerns that are privacy concerns.
Yeah, and there's people who just don't get along with their in-laws and they don't want their in-laws on their social media looking at pictures. Whatever their issue is not your business. But if you are spending a lot of time concerned that people are getting into metadata of your photo to follow your kids around, I would say you can dial that concern down.
I don't think most of the people who are doing this have that concern. I know some people who would actually be concerned about their kids' privacy and safety because they're prominent people. And of course, that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole other thing.
You can have reasons that are big or little, clear or unclear, go with your gut on this. And then sometimes I had to stop a family member from posting something on social media. I wasn't even sure if they were taking a photo. And as soon as I saw it, I thought this photo can't go on Facebook for reasons I won't get into. And I had to say, don't put that on social media. And they were like, oh, okay. I'm like, just that not on social media, please. For us, it's fine. No. Oh, okay. No, sure. And I could tell that they were taken aback, but I could also tell they probably were going to put it on social media. And I was glad I said something.
Well, and I've had that with a friend of mine took me to a really special event that was, I won't even give the details, but was very, very special. And I took a picture of us at the event and I shared it. And she wrote to me right away and said, hey, could you take that picture down? Because it's something that a lot of people want us to do for them and we can't do it for everybody. So I don't want you to, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. I took it right down. It's not personal and it's not crazy. If it's oh, so-and-so got me tickets for this thing. And if you put it on social media, they now, are going to get 9,000 requests for those tickets. It's very understandable. But even if you don't understand it, if someone asks you to take pictures down on social media, do it. Respect other people's rules.
And I think as our kids get older, my friend Christina has a good rule around social media. Her kids are school aged, like mine, and younger than mine, actually. But even so, she asks them if she wants to put something up on social media. She shows it to them and says, can I put this up? And they can say yes or no. And sometimes it's very disappointing when they're doing something adorable and they don't want it up. But she's giving them that autonomy at a young age. And I hadn't ever thought about doing that, but I'll probably start doing that too.
It makes sense. It works. I mean, I think we solved this one. We got it. It's
we totally solved this complicated issue.
You've got to use common sense. Don't be paranoid. There's a lot of paranoia around this issue that I would like to push back against as strongly as possible. But at the same time, know your boundaries, know other people's boundaries. And even if you don't understand other people's boundaries, you have to respect them. It is not your choice.
Yeah.
And we haven't even touched on rules for our kids using their social media. That's a whole separate issue.
Whole separate episode.
That's a whole separate episode. We're going to get to that.
But we want to know. So come tell us what your rules are around social media, how you know when you're oversharing, how you guard against other people oversharing about your kids. There's a lot of places you can tell us. You can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/whatfreshhellcast.
You can come to us on Instagram, which is also What Fresh Hellcast.
And we have a Twitter feed, WFH Podcast. And I will put up the links to the studies we were discussing today up on our show page, which is whatfreshhellpodcast.com.
Guys, please go to whatfreshhellpodcast.com and read Amy's studies. She works so hard on them. She loves them so. They're like her babies.
This was more from the heart, but that study that I was talking about from the University of Michigan, it's actually, I'll put up a link to it. It's actually worth reading in its entirety.
What was it, a privacy research researcher? I mean, you've never even heard of that. Go do some deep dives into privacy research.
Go become a privacy researcher.
Your very self. And guys, we need to ask you one more favor before we go. We want you to subscribe to this podcast. When you are hanging out with your friends and telling them how great the What Fresh Hell podcast is, I want you to say, have you subscribed to it? Let me show you how. It's quite easy. Amy has put instructions on the website, but you can probably figure it out yourself. Help us spread the word, and we need subscribers. So make sure to subscribe.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com helping people worldwide getting work done faster and better. The same Monday.com designed for every team and every industry. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com that your team will actually love using. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free. Yes, the same Monday.com.